Let's say you want to get the front wheel of your Harley Pan America lifted up off the ground. Maybe you want to clean the wheel or check the spokes, and you don't feel like dealing with putting it on your motorcycle jack, or maybe you don't have a motorcycle jack. Here's a way that you can lift the front wheel up easily just using a scissor jack that's commonly found with the spare tire in your car or truck. Now this technique's only going to work if you have the center stand on your Pan America. What we want to do is use the scissor jack underneath the skid plate to lift the front of the bike as it pivots on the center stand and then rests on the rear tire. Now, I only recommend attempting this if you have one of the upgraded skid plates on your bike. I would not try this with the factory skid plate. The aluminum's just too thin for that. Before we lift the bike, we want to make sure that this center stand stays deployed and that the bike doesn't accidentally rock off of it as we're moving it. So for that, I recommend using a cinch strap or some sort of cargo strap to secure it. I like to go around the middle bar of the center stand, through the lower part of the engine guard, and then make sure that that strap is on there good and tight, and that'll keep that center stand pulled forward on for you. All right. Make sure that the bike is in first gear so that the rear wheel's not going to turn on you as you lift the bike up. Position the jack underneath the skid plate, kind of in line with where the crash bar mounts. Recommend having a piece of wood there to help distribute the load as you're lifting the bike up. All right, and then carefully raise the bike with the scissor jack. If it feels a little sketchy for you, you may wish to have a helper just spot you from the top, especially the first time you try and do this. All right, and the front tire is now off the ground, but I like to continue going until that rear tire makes contact and we have some of that weight being held on the rear tire in addition to the center stand. And there we have it. Now the front wheel is off the ground. We can do whatever maintenance we were looking to do. Couple of points. This is obviously not as sturdy as having it properly secured down onto a motorcycle jack, but you know, it's pretty good there. It's not really in danger of just tipping over by itself. That said, if you were going to do something like taking the front wheel off and working with torque, big wrenches and whatnot up here to try and take that wheel off, or doing anything else that might involve, the bike moving around a little bit, you may want to enlist a helper to just kind of stand by and steady the motorcycle while you're doing that. Another point, I would not recommend using a hydraulic jack to do this, especially if you are going to take that wheel off, just because of the risk that hydraulic jacks, the seals could, leak, lose pressure, and now the front of the bike's going to start dropping down. If you're just doing it to do a wheel cleaning, probably not a big deal, but if you're going to be taking this wheel off and there's nothing here to support the front end of the bike, if that jack were to fail, I would stick with a scissor jack that's going to hold it in position better. Again, I would not try this technique if you still had the stock skid plate. And even with the thicker skid plates, I still only do this if I need to get the front wheel off the ground for something quick, relatively quick that I'm doing. If I'm going to have the bike lifted for an extended period of time for service work, I'm going to put it on the jack. So all that said, when you're done, you just lower it back down the same way. Undo your strap, and you're all set. Thanks for watching. Ride safe.